Homo sapiens are the only human species still alive. For most of our past, that was not true. Long before written history, humanity was not a single story. Multiple human species existed at the same time, spread across different regions, shaped by different environments. They walked the same landscapes, faced similar pressures, and survived in parallel for tens of thousands of years. Their disappearance did not follow a single pattern. Some endured for hundreds of millennia. Others vanished earlier, leaving little trace behind. Survival was uneven, and extinction was common. What remains today is not a record of everyone who lived, but of those whose traces happened to persist. Most of these humans left no names, no images, no memory that could be passed forward. What survived was physical, bone instead of skin, fragments instead of lives. Archaeology does not preserve identity equally. Some lives leave behind tools, burials, or structures. Others leave almost nothing at all. Entire human lineages disappeared without ever being seen by those who came after them. Only much later would we begin to reconstruct what was lost, not to tell their stories, but to confirm that they were here. These faces do not represent the beginning of humanity. They represent what remains of a much wider human past, one where being human did not mean being alone. What survives is uneven. Most of what once lived left almost nothing behind. Sometimes what remains is barely enough to hold on to. No skull was ever found, no burial, no object shaped to be remembered. What remains is minimal. A small fragment of bone recovered from a cave, without ceremony or context. There is nothing to suggest identity, status, or intention. Under normal circumstances, this is where the record ends. Without a skull, there are no measurements to take, no facial bones to follow, no surface from which a face can be rebuilt. For most of archaeology, reconstruction would be impossible, but something else survived. Inside the bone, genetic material was preserved, not enough to tell a story, enough to be examined. Scientists analyzed chemical markers in the DNA known as methylation patterns. These markers influence how genes shape physical traits. From them, it becomes possible to estimate aspects of facial structure, general proportions, bone relationships, spatial limits, not features, not expression, structure. What cannot be recovered is just as important. Expression cannot be known, personality cannot be inferred. Skin tone, hair, and detail remain uncertain. This reconstruction is not a portrait. It is a boundary, the outer edge of what evidence allows. It exists not because memory preserved it, and not because culture carried it forward. It exists because information endured where almost everything else was lost. For many ancient humans, even this would never be possible. Sometimes what survives is not information but bone. This time a skull survived. It was recovered intact, without the fractures or erosion that usually distort the human record. The bone was complete, undisturbed, and unusually balanced. From the start it stood out, not because of damage, but because of its precision. When the skull was studied in detail, its proportions proved to be almost perfectly symmetrical. Measurements taken across multiple axes showed a level of balance rarely seen in human remains. It would later be described as the most symmetrical skull ever examined. For reconstruction, this kind of preservation removes uncertainty. The contours of the face can be followed directly. The spacing of features is not inferred but measured. Bone provides clear limits, leaving little room for interpretation. And yet precision does not restore identity. There is no name attached to this skull, no record of family, status, or role, no indication of how this person lived or why they were buried where they were found. The anatomy is exact. The life remains unknown. This reconstruction is accurate in structure but incomplete by nature. It shows what bone can preserve and what it cannot. When evidence survives this cleanly, it exposes a different absence. But precision does not protect a life. Death did not come from violence. The remains were recovered from an ordinary burial without markers or ceremony. Nothing about the grave suggested status or distinction. The body had been laid to rest as countless others were, leaving no sign that this life would ever be examined again. What drew attention was not how this person lived, but how they died. Examination of the jaw revealed clear evidence of infection. Damage to the teeth and surrounding bone showed that the condition had progressed over time. Without treatment, the infection spread. There were no signs of trauma, no wounds from conflict, no indication of accident. This kind of death leaves little drama in the archaeological record. It does not reshape bone through force. It does not announce itself. It simply ends a life that would otherwise leave no trace at all. From the skull, a face could be reconstructed with confidence. The structure was clear. The proportions followed directly from bone. There was nothing unusual to resolve, nothing missing to infer. This face represents no event, no role, no remembered moment. It represents an ordinary human vulnerability, the kind that shaped countless lives long before medicine could intervene. Many ancient lives ended this way. Most were never recorded. And sometimes survival leaves marks that death does not. The remains belonged to a warrior buried with weapons and defensive gear. Arrowheads were found nearby. A shield had been placed with the body. These objects point to conflict, but they do not tell the most important part of the story. That story is written in bone. Examination revealed multiple injuries sustained during life, wounds that would have caused severe trauma, damage consistent with impact and penetration. But the edges of those injuries showed something unexpected. They had healed. Bone had regenerated around the damage. Fractures had stabilized. The body had survived long enough for recovery to begin. Whatever caused these wounds did not end this life immediately. Survival followed injury, not once, but repeatedly. This was not a single violent moment frozen in time. It was a sequence: injury, endurance, continuation. From the skull, a face could be reconstructed. The structure was clear. The damage had not erased it. What appears is not the face of a single event, but of a person who lived beyond it. This face does not represent mystery, it represents persistence. Many ancient humans left no faces behind. Others left fragments or precision or absence. Here the body records something rarer, survival written directly into the skeleton,